This is not a time of sorrow, of tears perhaps, but not of sorrow. How can we be in sorrow when we contemplate the richness and the fullness of this man's life? Indeed, it must be for us a time of affirmation and rejoicing, a time of triumph and victory. Former President Dwight D. Eisenhower lived in perilous and turbulent days, but he kept faith with both God and man, and for that we are grateful. May we be eternally aware that he contended the strength of the United States is not just military might, indeed not just economic might, but it is also its principle or its moral might.
This fellow was considerably larger and stronger than I am. He would not uh, listen to any sort of reason or appeal to stay out of my yard or house. With two very small children and a wife who has just come home from the hospital, I think that the possibility of him inflicting serious damage on us or the children is quite great.
After reading a newspaper article about our recent assembly at Grand Prairie High School on Monday, March 17th, I was disappointed at its representation, or rather its misrepresentation, of the events which took place. I decided the account to be one-sided and rather unfair to all concerned. I, as a student, wished to express my views. I was sitting downstairs in the center of the auditorium, just under the edge of the balcony. First, as we entered, there was some noise made by metal clickers passed out by one of the candidates. As the auditorium filled, the noise increased. When the assembly began, Student Council President Pat Robertson asked for quiet. Most of the noise ended then. After the speeches began, the noise again increased. Later, confetti was thrown from the balcony. To some, this may seem quite immature. Personally, it brought to mind a group of sensible, mature adults at the Republican and Democratic national conventions. The highlight was a strip act by a candidate for vice president. He removed tie, coat, shirt, and pants, leaving only a t-shirt and a pair of swimming trunks covered by a pair of gym shorts. If you think this to be risque, take notice of some of the television shows and movies your children watch. Parents and adults of responsibility set the examples and the standards for their children. The article which aroused my interest contained quotes from Mr. Jim Vecchio and Mrs. Thomas Russell, who were not known to be present at the assembly. The bedlam for an hour and a half and the near riot are complete exaggerations based on mere hearsay. The fact that no one in authority stepped forward to stop it was this. This was to be a student-run student assembly, but the human fault of immaturity on the part of some of the students and some of the candidates caused a little too much noise. A few off-color jokes and remarks were made, but listen to the average television comedian who is usually quite popular. Mr. Hobbs Williams, our principal, believed we were mature enough to handle the problem ourselves. Maybe we weren't, but we were certainly sober after the assembly. On Tuesday, Mr. Williams expressed his regret in our lack of ability in handling this responsibility. In my opinion, he is completely free of blame. We have been irritated by unjust and unfounded criticism in the accounts of the assembly by the news media and some individuals. Unlike area schools, we have not been put on probation or ashamed of past events. The fact that the candidates who were guilty of off-color remarks and actions were not elected show the feelings of the majority of the student body.